Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Factorio. This is Zisteau, and today we are starting episode number 1. This is episode number 1 of the Modpack C block. It is a mod pack for Factorio, which is heavily inspired by Skyblock for Minecraft, the play mode where you start in a little island on the sky, you make a cobblestone generator out of lava and water, and you start building from that. You have a tree, that kind of thing. You create a whole base out of nothing. Later on, there was popular mod pack called Sky Factory. Similar idea, but with a lot of mods where you would make the same kind of thing. Start with a cobblestone generator, turn that into gravel, sift the gravel, you get little bits of metal, and slowly by slowly you start to accumulate this huge factory out of nothing in the middle of thin air. So this is the Factorio version of that. We're not starting in midair, we're starting in the middle of the ocean on a tiny little island. So we've got a chest here with some starting supplies. And there's a lot of modded stuff, so we're going to take it one piece at a time. We've got about 1,000 wood pellets. We've got 1,000 landfill. That's going to be important. Got some electric poles. We've got some pipes. I'm going to put these in the just kind of spots I typically tend to put them in. Tell this one to go there, this one to go there. And then the rest will just keep open because, well, we don't have much that I normally put there. So we've got 1,000 wood pellets, 1,000 landfill. Wood pellets are used to turn into wood bricks, and then you smelt that to get some coal. And we're going to use that for a variety of things. And the wood pellets are actually a better fuel source than coal. And the 1,000 landfill we're going to use to expand our base. Eventually we can make more. But probably the main thing we want to do is we want to get to a point where we are making stuff automatically. So normally in Factorio, first thing you do is you get up a starter base with some miners and some smelters and stuff, and you research automation. We're going to do kind of the same thing, but it's going to be a little bit more complicated. Let's take a look at the research tree. This is a research tree. This uses a lot of the Bob's mods and the Angels mods, which creates just way more complexity. Factorio is really a simplified kind of gameplay version of industrialization. In real life, you don't just take a pickaxe and hit some metal on the ground and it pops out a metal chunk of like iron ore, and you can't just put that inside a furnace and smelt it and out pops a iron plate. So a lot of these mods, what they do is they more closely represent how the process actually goes. There's still some, I mean, it's a game, right? So it's not 100% accurate, but that is kind of the general idea. Like you can make rubber out of, it requires styrene gas and butadiene gas. I don't even know what that is. I have no background in chemistry whatsoever. There is research for advanced cobalt steel smelting, gold smelting, nickel smelting. There is just so much stuff to do. And eventually, based on basic, more or less pumping water out of the ocean, we are going to create a faster than light spaceship and leave the planet. That's the ultimate goal, faster than light spaceship. Okay, but one thing at a time. So first thing we need to do is we're going to create a little patch of land to put down our solar panels and accumulators. This is going to be our power supply for some time. And to make the most out of our landfill, we're going to skip. We're going to skip every other. And this lets us get a little bit more bang for our buck out of our landfill. So just going like 1, 2. We can go every other and make a much larger area. And then once we are going to the left in 3 dimensions, or rather just 2 dimensions, we can fill in 3 empty spots by only placing 1. All right, so I placed down all the solar panels and accumulators in a tight little pattern right there. And I put down about half of the landfill, so we have some room to work. This is going to be our power supply for a while. It's going to be a while before we can make more solar panels or accumulators, and at least a little while before we can do a steam engine setup. But what we want to focus on now is getting things automated, and the first step for that is to make inserters. And so we got 2 steps here. We need to be smelting up, producing iron and copper, right? But with this mod pack, the assembler and basically everything is a little bit harder to make. So instead of an electronic circuit, we want a basic circuit board. And to make that, Here it is. We need a wooden board as one of the ingredients. And the wooden board has two different ingredients, cellulose fiber and alginic acid. Long story short is that we need to be producing two different types of algae to make those things. So we need brown algae, which is made with seawater. And then we need green algae, which is made with like a fresh water, but with minerals in it and carbon dioxide and stuff. So the brown algae is pretty simple. We just need saline water. And to do that, we get one of these things. This is a hydro plant. And it has like a water purification setting. All these machines have usually several different recipes, like sulfuric wastewater we'll get to in a little bit. But this guy's pretty simple. We just want to go from pumping water up from the ocean to getting some saline water. And we're also going to have a byproduct of our purified water, which we're going to be using that. But just as an example, we have another machine, which will be very useful. We can either use a flare stack to burn off excess gas, or we can use, we can use a clarifier to get rid of excess water we don't want. Let's go ahead and just hook this up to illustrate how it works. Whoop, and give it some power. And we'll make it look nicer a little bit later. There we go. In fact, one thing I will be doing a lot of is spacing things out a little bit more so we can do an underground pipe thing, just to make it more convenient to walk around. Okay, so this is already making brown algae, 100 saline water. It takes 30 seconds. We start out with 8 of these algae farms, so we'll be scaling that up first. I think we can probably craft them, but we probably will have a hard time making them, if I had to guess. Like, these things take steel plates and basic electronic boards. These guys take basic... Oh, no, we'll be able to make more of these in not too long, but not right away. Okay, so anyway, if we have some extra water, like it's probably shut down now because this pipe is going to be full. It's going to fill up. We will just plug this guy in, and he is just going to get rid of the excess water we don't want. Very simple. This is a typical A to B to C, like you would see in normal Factorio. You dig up the iron, you smelt it up into an iron plate, and then you turn it into iron gear wheel, and you put that in something else, and then that goes into something else. But after that, there's going to be some, what I'm going to call resource loops, where you're going to go not from A to B to C to D, but A to B to C to D back to A in a loop, and every time you go around the loop, you get a little bit more of what you started with. But there's also, it's like a bunch of overlapping circles and multiple inputs and outputs. And it gets very complicated. It's like a big bowl of SpaghettiOs, and it's sloppy. But we'll try to make sense of it as much as possible. So the first loop we really need to worry about, let's grab one of these, is the sulfur loop. So we're going to be doing sulfuric wastewater, which produces sulfur and also produces... mineralized water, I think is what that is. I'm still getting used to all the different symbols. But it requires sulfuric wastewater as an ingredient. And how do we get sulfuric wastewater? It's a byproduct of sulfur. So we will need to jumpstart our circle. But basically, we're going to go from sulfuric wastewater purification. That's going to output us some solid sulfur. And then we're going to go from that. And let's see if we can find the recipe that requires sulfur. Yeah. So we're going to turn that into sulfur dioxide gas. That also requires oxygen gas. So it will get more complicated, but simplifying it as much as I can. So we're going to put the sulfur into here and output sulfur dioxide gas. And then that sulfur dioxide gas, we're going to immediately turn into sulfuric acid. And we're going to need that purified water that we weren't using a second ago that we were getting rid of. And that sulfuric acid, let's see, I think we need a different machine. Where are you? Liquefier. Okay, so we're going to take that sulfuric acid. And, let's see, which one's next? Nope. Yes, okay, so this one. Slag slurry. We're going to turn our sulfuric acid into slag slurry with the addition of some slag. And I think slag is made with a different machine. Here it is. There's a lot of different machines, and yeah, it gets complicated. Okay, so this makes slag by basically we pump up the water and we separate it into oxygen and hydrogen, and all the leftover minerals in the water get turned into this slag stuff and put into this guy. And then he's going to go over here into a filtration unit. Are you keeping up? We're almost there. So the filtration unit is going to filter the slag slurry, and it's going to output that sulfuric, the thing we needed, the sulfuric waste water. So we'll just need to hook all these up in a circle, and we'll have our first loop. And then the second loop is a carbon dioxide loop, which is going to be fairly similar. All right, so here is most of our starter setup, and I'll explain it piece by piece. We need to kickstart it by making some sulfur and the other different byproducts. And for that, we need sulfuric wastewater. For that, we're going to need to start making some coal. And so what I'll do is we're going to go into... There's so many menus here. I'm still kind of getting used to what is where and where is what. But we need to turn some of our pellets into wood bricks, and then we can smelt those or just cook them up in a furnace into some coal. So I'll make a decent amount. It's going to be a little while before we've automated the production of coal itself. And we want to plop those in there, and the wood pellets make a great fuel source. We're going to be using those for our fuel source for quite a while. You can see the coal has a fuel value of 8 megajoules, and the wood pellets are 12. So it takes quite a bit of wood pellets to make one coal, but they're way better as fuel. We're only going to be using coal for more important things. First thing we need to do to jumpstart this thing, I think it's the liquefier. That will do the recipe we want. We want the crushed coal turned into sulfuric wastewater. We also get coke, which I think is used for steel, perhaps. And then for that, to get the crushed coal, we need what's known as a crusher. So we're going to crush it up like that and provide it some power. All right, now you're powered. Put that there. Oh, and this also needs some of this purified watery stuff. So let's connect that up. Gonna use a lot of underground pipes. Oh, we're out of underground pipes. Okay, I used too many. Never mind. We're gonna be picking this up in a second anyway. All right, so this is kickstarting our sulfur loop by making the sulfuric wastewater. Am I trapped in there? No. I think that's enough. We won't need any more. Okay, so then until we get the inserters going, we'll be taking the sulfur and directly inserting here. I left room for an inserter. That's making the sulfur dioxide gas. I think our oxygen line is full. We don't need the oxygen. Well, we only need it for a little bit. Well, we have more than we can use. So for now, I am going to... Man, I really used too many underground pipes, huh? Okay, tell you what. I don't need these to be underground pipes because I can just walk around that a little bit. Eventually, we'll be able to make this stuff, but for now, we're kind of limited to what we started with. So we're going to be burning off the excess oxygen. That's a little bit inefficient until we can research some valves that only lets off the excess. So this should be, if I hook this up properly. Now we've made this. Now we're waiting on sulfur dioxide gas. Oh, I ran out of sulfur. Okay, put that in there. There we go, and that is creating the sulfuric acid out of the sulfur dioxide gas. That's going into here, and for now we've got to be manually inserting this slag until we get some inserters, which I left room for. And that plus the sulfuric acid is making slag slurry, which is going into here. And for this, we do need some more coal, so let's grab all this. And I'll just go ahead and put some more in there, because it's going to be a while before we have enough. For what we need to make some coal filters, and it's going to be a little while before we can automate this as well. So I'm just going to make a bunch of them and plop them in here, and voila! This pops out some filter frames, which we can reuse endlessly. And then also I forget sometimes what these things are called. This is mineral sludge, and our sulfuric acid loop should be complete, and we should be able to pick these guys up. And disconnect this, reclaim some pipes. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so then over here, this is how we're actually going to be making metal. So we are going to hook up our mineral sludge to, let's see, it is a crystallizer. We're going to crystallize up some metals. So it doesn't matter, we need both types of metals. So we'll just start with the sapphirite ore, which I think makes us iron. And I guess we need power for that. Bring a power line over here. And then we need to... Whoops. Okay, let me space it out so we can eventually put some inserters. We're going to be taking this sapphirite ore and putting it in the crusher. We have to give it a recipe first, I guess. And that's going to give us a mixture of crushed sapphirite ore and little bits of stone, which we're going to need to make up some more furnaces, because little bits of stone you can combine into one of these menus right here, into normal stone, and then combine that into a simple furnace. Okay. And of course, until we get this really cooking, our loop is not going to be very efficient. Oh, we have too many of those frames. That's definitely one issue. We're low on the slag slurry. Oh, yeah. So we got plenty of that. It's probably the sulfur, right? Yeah. Okay. Lots of loops. We should have produced some of that. Let me just pop some of that out of there. And while we're running around, I'm going to... Let's see. Have we started crafting this? No, because we need our coal to go in here. We need to provide our other ingredient. We need carbon dioxide. And we don't want it from wood pellets. We want it from coal. It's a little bit more efficient that way. If I can find... Here it is. Okay. Carbon dioxide from coal. And we'll plop in some of our coal here. Now we should be making the green algae. We need green algae. And we're going to put that in the liquefier. And that's going to get us these little fiber sticks. Whatever they're called. Fiber sticks, cellulose sticks, things. Right here. Okay, cellulose fiber and alginic acid from the brown algae. That gets us wooden boards. That's half of what we need. Come back over here. There's going to be a lot of hand-holding. And if you're wondering, how do I figure all this stuff out? How do you make sense of everything? Basically, it's a little bit of trial and error. You plop down the machines you're given at the beginning, and you look at the recipes they have, and you see what is possible for them to make. And then you, there's a version of NEI in this mod pack. If you're familiar with modded Minecraft, you hit Control-E. Brings up this menu of everything in the game, so you can research how to make things, and we can research, like, green algae right here. So this is one thing one of our machines can make. And it tells us it requires what it requires, the different recipes for it, if there's more than one. If you right-click on an item, it'll tell you what that is used to make further down the chain. So first thing that pops up, only thing that pops up to make green algae out of is cellulose fiber. Tells you the machine. Then you can right-click on the cellulose fiber, and you can just sort of, after you've figured out enough of what your machines do, you can sort of start to piece together what they make and in what order you should be doing it. So then you combine the cellulose fiber and the alginic acid into wooden board. Wooden board is combined with copper cable into a basic circuit board, and from there we get inserters and a lot of our beginning machines. That's the process. It's a little bit slow. It's a little bit slow at the first. Okay, we'll just put a bunch of that into there. We need to take some of these out. We want to make enough metal so that we don't have to be holding these machines' hands all the time. Because going back and forth, checking all these things. Oh, okay. So that's what I was waiting for. I wanted the little bits of stone. So we can turn that into normal stone, and then we can turn that into a furnace. I have a furnace over here, but we want multiples. I'm going to make another one. So we're going to be smelting up 2 types of metal. Okay, so into here, we're going to put like 100 wood pellets, and then all of that. That's going to smelt up our iron ore. This is like the most simple, least efficient way to do it, and over time we'll get research to do it better. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit around and wait for this to smelt up some iron. And I'm going to hold all the machine's hands and transfer the items one by one. Eventually, we will switch it over to the stereotype ore, which will make us some copper. All right, so I should have enough of this stuff saved up that we can make enough inserters. Yeah, we can make more than enough. Let's just make 20. We're going to turn a lot of these boards into the basic circuit boards, the copper into copper cable. And after we get these inserters done, next thing we'll be focusing on, of course, is starting some research, getting some assembly machines. But this is definitely the first step you should take, getting your setup actually automated. Looks like these need to be in a slightly different spot. Whatever, I'll make that look nicer later. Oh, look at that. Okay. How about like that? Fantastic. Okay. So now we're automatically inserting in there. I left a space for an assembly machine so we can turn our excess crushed stone into landfill, which we will start to run low on. Let's put an inserter here so we can take our green algae and directly place it in there, which looks like it's already full. So we can get some cellulose fiber. We want an inserter over here to take the sulfur out of the sulfuric wastewater purification building, the hydro plant, and directly into here, the chemical plant. And right here, we need 2 inserters to take the slag out of our electrolyzer. And that goes over here. And we will need an assembly machine to automate this part, so we're still going to be holding this machine's hand. But this is the only thing we're really don't have 100% automated yet. Well, and also the landfill production. So we're going to be running out of these filter frames pretty frequently and making more. How are we doing for coal? 59 coal. I guess I'll make, yeah, let's make a little bit more coal. Do we get 1 to 1? 3 to 1. Very lovely. Okay, but that's about it for episode number 1. And let's plop the coal filters back in. That's the only thing stopping our loop from being automatic. Oh, well, one of 2 things. The other thing is that this machine will fill up with crushed stones. We'll have to take that out of there. But we'll pick up where we left off next episode. We'll start researching, get some assembly machines, and some valves and some other stuff, and continue exploring. I really don't know like what direction we're going in. There's so many items in research. I can't really visualize or predict what direction our factory will go in. I don't really have a master plan. We're going to take it one step at a time and have fun with the stuff that we discover. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. See you later. Bye-bye.